You refer to vulnerability as a problem, as a threat, something that scares you. Right? But that's a misconception of vulnerability. Right? Why? When you get to a state that being full on vulnerable is easy, then you're in your fullest power. You're the most powerful when you are okay to be full on vulnerable. Why? Because nothing can touch you. See? People that have a facade of a tough guy or whatever the facade is, doesn't matter, and they're not comfortable with being vulnerable, they have something to hide. Now, for most people, it's very easy to see. So it's very easy to touch that part of them, right?
Yeah.
When you touch that part of them, they react. When they react, they lose their power because now you're subject to somebody else's lead. You understand?
Yeah.
So when you identify the weak points of somebody else, doesn't matter what the facade, it can be the seemingly the most powerful CEO in the universe. Think Trump.
Yeah.
It's very volatile because it's very easy to people that have access to him to touch his pain points because it's visible. So people like that, they constantly in a pursuit to reestablish their power. So they're volatile. They don't have a stable center, right? When you're comfortable being vulnerable, saying, you know what? Yeah, that doesn't feel good to me. I'm in pain now. And with no need to hide it, then you don't have pressure points.
Yeah.
Then you are you all the time. And when you are you all the time, that's the most powerful position you can get to.
Yeah.
So people don't understand, especially men, that vulnerability is when you get to your full power. It's a superpower. When you're constantly trying to hide your weaknesses, it doesn't matter how much muscle mass you amass, not going to fly. It's very easy to manipulate people like that.
Yeah.
And when you're being manipulated, you're not in power. That's it.
So when you're fully you're vulnerable, in some situations, like for example, prison, I was completely vulnerable in that state. In some way, when that
Define vulnerable.
like going out to the prison yard and crying and saying, guys, I'm really struggling here. I can't do this time. Like just being like open about what's inside, because in there it's like that's weakness, and now you're preyed upon. Somebody might hit you because like stop acting like that. Like so, because I know as when I was in prison, a lot of the feelings I was having, even with my cellmate, who we usually got pretty close because we talked, we both were very guarded. Like we were like. I've had cellmates and even me come back and somebody just died, and we just sit there and there's no like you say like I'm sorry, man, like I'm sorry, but that person deep down wants to cry and talk to you and tell you like but they hold it in, and I've done it
because it's a society that it's all about facade. I mean,
yeah, it's all
you know that, right?
Yeah.
But imagine that somebody would start changing that narrative.
Yeah.
They allow themselves to cry and still keep their guard and, fight back if they need to.
Yeah.
Right? People assume that you won't fight back or you won't react if you're vulnerable, but that's not mandatory, that connection. See what I mean?
Yeah. It's completely different. Yeah.
It's only a narrative that's kind of going around that if you show emotion, you're weak. Those two are not coupled. They're not mandatory.
It's true. Because I remember once I did allow myself to be more vulnerable when I got out of solitary and I started to do the groups. we would go around in circle and men would be vulnerable and talk about things that they never talked about, share things. And it was really transformative for everybody. And then it kind of trickled into the prison yard where others wanted to do similar things. And it's like you change the culture, change the environment, but it takes one or two maybe first to start it, to be vulnerable, to set the trend, like it's okay to be vulnerable here. And yeah, so I know what you mean. Yeah.
The best example for that is all kinds of elite military units. Right?
Yeah.
They know that they need to grieve. They know. It makes them stronger. It makes them more united. It makes them more powerful. Not the opposite, not suppression.
Yeah.
Right? So there is a grieving process if somebody dies. It amplifies the bond. It makes them more powerful. It's a very macho, masculine environment, yet healthier.
Yeah.
That's why they're more powerful.
Yeah.
So it's only how you frame the story. But think about it this way. What does it mean to be in your power? When you're fully aligned. What's going inside comes out the other way around, right? You're fully aligned. So all your energy is aligned, one stream. So you don't need to hide anything because you're you all the time. That's how you show up to life in your power all the time. Now, when you're comfortable being vulnerable, the emotionally tough moments do not deter you from being fully aligned. Yeah, I'm in pain inside. I have pain. That doesn't make me weak.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. You're just you're operating in your truth, like your true self. Yeah.
Exactly. So then you're more powerful, not less. So going back to where we started, you follow your heart and you move in with this lady and you don't know how it's going to work out. And it makes you a little bit uncomfortable. Why? It's like, think of it as an adventure.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like an explorer. You're exploring a new territory, a new emotional territory for yourself. You haven't been in love as an adult and moved in with somebody that you have strong emotions towards, strong feelings. So you're exploring. We'll see how it works out.
Yeah.
And as long as you're willing to be vulnerable and talk about what you're going through, if there is love, you'll figure it out. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the nature of adventure, right?
Yeah.
If you know every step of the way, it's not an adventure.
That's an adventure, yeah. And so I guess one of the questions on my mind now that I'm kind of, in some sense, building something new here with a new person. And I've never, I asked because I've never been taught, but I also never took the steps to learn it because I could have, but I haven't. And I probably will, is to how to create a successful relationship. You know, how to be the best I can to, I know that's that's the $1 trillion question, right? Because if you had an answer, right, we had one answer, well, maybe you do have an answer and just nobody follows it, right? But I've always wondered, because for me, I just need to know like a framework. What do I need to do? Like to get from here to there. It's a very I'm open for sure, but I like that, okay, in order for me to get stronger, I got to work out and eat this way. In order for me to make more money, I have to do these things.
Yeah, but for instance, that's a good example, right? When you said to work out and eat healthy.
Yeah.
But there's many ways to work out, and there's many diets that you can deploy.
Yeah.
See? The same goes here. Now, I have my recipe for what I believe is a healthy relationship, right? But that's what works for me. There's other recipes. The world is diverse. There's no one way.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. I agree.
You need to figure out what works for you. Right? To me, the key ingredients is love and being as truthful as you can be on everything. Inside, outside, whatever happens, the truth.
Yeah.
Right? Those two terms, when you start unpacking them, they go very, very far. Because
absolutely.
To me, for instance, when you love somebody, you put their needs in front of your own. And if the love on the other way is the same, then the same happens there. So then you basically intertwine the motivation in a way that each one of the parties supports and becomes the ground for growth for the other one.
That's true.
Now, it also depends on the personality. For instance, for me, my wife is my best friend, is my love, she's the number one across every category. She's the one I want to spend the most time with. She's the one that knows me the best. She's the one that allowed into my inner world to the deepest places, to the places that I reach. We don't have any secrets. We don't hold back anything. Full transparency. This is part of love to me. Right? And in my case, it was a decision to be like that, first and foremost, because when I entered the relationship also, I never had such love. Didn't. So I said, okay, this is different. I recognize it. What do I want to do to make it last for the rest of my life and to be the biggest thing ever? I said, just take away all the barriers. Just eliminate them.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that I hold back. There's nothing that I don't disclose. There's just full transparency and willing to take feedback, which allows you to grow together. It immediately creates, because what I believe at this point is the deepest truth in my heart, maybe I don't see deep enough. You see?
Yeah.
So in many cases, because my wife knows me so well, she points out things. Sometimes they're uncomfortable to admit. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. You have to be willing to receive it.
Exactly. Yeah. Whether it's comfortable or uncomfortable, that doesn't matter. It's not a variable. And that creates a foundation for a relationship that constantly you help each other evolve, because it's the other way around also, right?
Yeah.
Her opinion matters to me in many cases more than my own, because I know my own. Having another opinion by somebody, or perspective by somebody that loves you, that cares about you as much as I care for her, is a gift, is a very valuable thing, regardless if it's comfortable or not.
Right.
It's more valuable when it's not comfortable, because it indicates I have some blind spot.
Yeah.
You see? So if you treat it like that, yeah, you have sometimes friction and fighting.
Yeah.
That's normal, but it doesn't last very far. It doesn't go very long. When you cool down, you realize, you go back to your operating principles. Remember last time we spoke about operating principles? To me, that's an operating principle.
Yeah.
So when I reflect and I take it in. I take it in. Again, comfortable, not comfortable, doesn't matter. I take it in.
Right.
And that makes me grow.
Yeah. It's great.
You need to find your own operating principles for the relationship. But the relationship comes second. It's within. It's first between you and yourself. How are you going to show up in this relationship? For me, it was a decision out of the gate. No masks. Be as real as you get. As real as I know myself.
Yeah.
So everything, across every little thing.
Right.
That's my operating principle. That's how I show up. Taking into account that sometimes you have a blind spot.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of what I want to do this time, is just go in and really put in the effort. And, I feel like that requires I make some changes in my life. Like you said, not always thinking about just myself, but the needs of somebody else, and even, like you said, in some cases, putting them first, and being able to take time to talk and communicate all those things that in my past relationship, for a very long time, I didn't do that anymore. We were just in a relationship, and it was very, it seemed that there wasn't that connection there. It was just come back home, and it's just everything's like this machine operating, and there's good moments, but I just have to be more aware. So in some ways, it's just adding it to my, like you said, my principles, the things that I live by every day.
It sounds to me a little bit that you saw the relationship, the previous ones, out of some kind of a template that you believe how a relationship should look like. A little bit.
A little bit, yeah, and just ways that I could improve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe forget about templates and ask yourself, what kind of relationship do you want to have? What are the attributes of the relationship you want to have? You want it to be deep, you want it to be serious, you want it to be fun, you want it to be joyful, you want it to be spontaneous. What do you like? Just try and kind of describe it to yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
What do I want? Yeah.
What do you want? It's part of the Carlos 2.0 exercise.
Yeah.
Right? What kind of intimate relationship? What shades? What colors do you want to have in it?
Yeah.
You see, it's your drawing, your making.
Yeah.
So decide, think about it, feel it, imagine it, visualize it, and then ask yourself, how do you need to show up for that to be like that? Right? It's kind of reverse engineering it, but through the feeling. Part of the Carlos 2.0, because that's going to be now a big playing ground for you to show up as a new you, to evolve a new you. You haven't had that experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
The more present you are, the more conscious you are about this experience, the more it's going to be like you want it to be. And don't try and shove a lot of templates into kind of a small space and act it out.
Yeah.
So usually it doesn't work well.
I know. I find I seek out like learning from like other people or ask questions and look at my stuff, and I kind of overthink it and don't just kind of go in and just like listen to what I know deep down inside I should do. A lot of stuff I already know, but I just need to be more aware of that. I need to be more
It's okay to get ideas from other people, but you need to decide, you need to feel what feels right for you. Because nobody else has your makeup, your history, your personality, your needs, your wants, the whole package. It needs to fit you.
Yeah.
So only you can decide that.
Yeah.